everyone, it's Carolyn here to share more channeled messages. This time I'm going to just talk about a topic today. And what better time to talk about being sick and tired than when I am sick and tired during the awakening. So what I want to talk about today is that there is purpose behind our illnesses that a lot of us are running around with. Me today, okay? So I've had this throat and head thing going on, and it really hit me that I haven't really talked about the purpose behind all of these strange little illnesses that we may be having and not understand them and not think about them. But I'm going to tell you right now, when you're awakening, very often they're highly connected to purposeful events in your life. So I'm going to talk today about illnesses during the awakening and my examples, as well as 3 reasons why we often can get more ill than we typically have been in the past. And that is highly connected to the awakening journey. So welcome everybody today. I'm Carolyn. I'm a channel, I'm a distance energy healer, and I'm a spiritual awakening mentor. And I offer these channels and these messages for your awakening journey support. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. I appreciate you being here. And you'll also see that you can connect below in the description box. There's a way to actually get a video that I created for you on flow. How to create flow in your body for health and wellness. What a better time to be listening to that than I'm talking about health and wellness. Plus, it leads you to other free content in my email list. So join me. Anyway, thank you so much, everybody, for being here. And so I want to start by talking about how I have, over the last year in particular, had a variety of illnesses. They range from full-on flu to full-on head-to-toe literal illness. And I'll talk a little bit about some of those as well. In particular, last year, 2019, when I literally spent 6 weeks off and on sick. Now, my history in my life has been a rare time that I'm sick. However, in 2019, it hit me full force. And I want to talk about these things because I know there are more and more people having these things occur. Colds, flu, sinus, throat, it goes on and on. Now, there are also the other extreme physical things that people have had ongoing. I'm going to talk a little bit about those because they do tie to one of the reasons that we have these things going on in our bodies at this time or over our lifetime. But I'm going to primarily talk about these little colds, the flu, the weird stuffed up head, the digestive, the sacral, all of that. I'm going to just talk about those pieces primarily today. We're going to talk, like I said, 3 reasons for this because it's purposeful. And the thing is, I really want to talk about this because once you kind of understand that there's a reason behind why you aren't feeling well and having to go through this, it makes it a lot easier. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to understand to the level of detail that might inform you very specifically, but you're gonna know there's a purpose. If you're awakening, there's always a purpose. And frankly, I believe that for everybody. But again, my audience here, as you well know, is primarily awakening folks. So one of the first reasons for our illnesses that we are seeing more and more of, particularly over the last year or two, and I think some of you will be able to relate to this, is that we, during these illnesses, are actually being offered upgrades, okay? So you're clearing out to be offered the upgrade and to open up your continued growing intuitive gifts. For those of you who are very connected in, very psychic, have really, those gifts have really opened up, what you're gonna find oftentimes is that after an illness, you may see a subtle shift and change, a ramp up of your intuitive gifts. Now, I will tell you this has happened to me. However, it is often subtle, and yet if you're attuned to your intuitive gifts, if you're attuned to your body, if you're attuned to understanding how you feel when you get an upgrade, you may feel a different shift in vibration. You may have, like, okay, I'm going to just give you my examples. I channel prolifically. That's like the foundation of what I do, of an intuitive gift for me, as you all know. And what I notice after certain illnesses, and in particular the one that I had in November that lasted literally 3 weeks of full onslaught of illness, chakra clearing from top to bottom, I'm going to talk a bit more about that, is that afterwards, when I looked back, there was a progressiveness of 3 months leading up to this full onslaught that I call the chakra clearing onslaught, where afterwards I noticed that I had even greater clarity in my channeling, almost to the point where I'm not ever disconnected. Well, that's actually what it is. I'm never disconnected. I choose to be when I want to, but it is a greater clarity. Now, what I will say is a lot of times these shifts are subtle, but you'll notice them. Sometimes they can be all empowering and come on very fast, but I do believe most of us will see subtle shifts and changes. So here's what happened to me. When we talk about upgrades and opening up to enhanced gifts, what happened to me, and I'm going to give you these examples because I think you'll be able to relate to them and then you can maybe connect back to what happened for you and what the purpose was for you. So back in October, I had done a celery juice cleanse. What? I don't know. I had never done a cleanse in my life. I was led to do this. I did it for 30 days. I don't know why. I was just led to do that. Well, it was purposeful because I was leading up to when I would then be sick for an entire month in November of 2019. Now, I was functional about 50%. I kept doing things like the videos and my work and all of that. It was so difficult. However, what it started with, and like I said, many of you will receive a full chakra onslaught. Oftentimes it's going to start at the head with sinus, okay? What I find with me is my illnesses start at the top and they move to the bottom. But I've never had anything like this in my life. I get the sinus in November, right? This is like 3 days after I did a Reiki session, which by the way was purposeful. After my celery juice cleanse, I didn't know it. I had scheduled it. That opened me up even further, and then I got super sick. Okay, now you may say, well, then I'm not doing a Reiki session. No. These things happen for a reason, okay? Because we have to clear out in order to offer us our upgrades, or in order to open up our gifts. We're clearing out. So what's happening is that this is the head thing is occurring, right? Nasal. Then it moved to my throat really badly, losing the voice. Down into the throat, thick throat, sore throat. And I noticed, oh, this is interesting. It's shifting from the sinus to the throat. And I thought, we'll be good there. Oh, no. Then it moved to the chest with all the chest gunk. So what was happening is the upper three chakras, is that right? Upper three? Yeah, upper three chakras. Oh my gosh, it was all happening at once. But I noticed it was also shifting down. And then I thought I'd be done because I thought, well, that's it. We'll clear out the chest and the whole bit. And by the way, I didn't go to the doctor. I never do because I just kind of know how my body reacts to these things. But this was a little different because what would happen is just as I thought on a particular day, I was getting well, like you typically do in a regular illness where you progressively get better. Oh no. I would then get sick again, like full force, like the next day after I was thinking I was getting well. I'd never had anything like this. It was like this. And then it moved into my sacral area. Now, I do not have any digestive issues. I've never had a problem, okay? Ever. I don't get stomach aches, nothing. Oh, I did in November. It was horrible. And then, of course, it moved to my sacral area. So, first of all, I'm sorry, it was my solar plexus, then it moved to my sacral. And we know what happens when things move to your sacral area, right? Okay, so yeah, I won't go into the detail, but it was not fun. So what happened is I had a full chakra onslaught. I watched it move from my head to my toes and literally out of me. And I'm not kidding you, in every way you could possibly imagine. I had a full chakra onslaught. These are huge, significant events in the awakening journey. And I think they're definitely highly purposeful. I don't believe they come that often. This is the first time I've ever, when necessary, they're saying when necessary to amp up your gifts at particular times in your journey. Okay, so they're big events, all right, for you. And they kind of shut you down. So the celery juice cleanse led to the Reiki session that then opened me up to have the full chakra onslaught that was highly purposeful, and my gifts started to open up even more. And so consequently, and I know during that time I ended up with an upgrade because I feel different. Also remember, these are subtle shifts and changes. So you may find that you have a full chakra onslaught because something is purposeful, something's happening. You may never be able to fully identify what is going on and why, But you may notice that your gifts, if you're starting to notice intuitive gifts or your signs and messages that are coming, there's going to be something that's going to shift and change. Now, don't go looking for it. You're going to know. Okay. So again, that's the first one. You're getting an upgrade, or your gifts, your intuitive gifts are growing, signs and messages are growing. There's something amping up for you, taking you to a different vibration. And we have to clear out through our bodies, through our cellular memory. And that's what the chakra onslaught did for me. I didn't get better until literally the middle of December. I didn't know you guys all still saw me on video, but you kind of just keep going. And I think once we know that this is part of the process, it makes us feel so much better rather than getting all freaked out about being sick, right? I mean, it still doesn't make it any more pleasant, but at the same time, kind of when we have this human understanding, it helps. And we will be getting little illnesses, or sometimes big, like mine, during this journey. The second reason that we have illnesses occur is we have clearing. And oftentimes it is through cellular memory, from the past lives that we've had that have stayed in our cellular memory for eons. Now, I have been told very clearly through my channels that we carry in our DNA the library of you, which we switch on as we come into incarnation, certain things that we're going to deal with as we come into each incarnation. And in this case, past lives are one of those things. We are starting to clear past lives that have been of trauma, have been of distress, things that maybe we had such a traumatic life and we passed away during that trauma and we weren't able to emotionally deal with it, and it stays with us. So what happens then is we bring that into this life to clear in one way or another. Now, this is where a lot of people, I have found in the work that I do, a lot of the severe physical stuff, sometimes emotional, but I've noticed a lot of physical stuff that people have dealt with over their lifetimes actually is attached to a past life that they're trying to clear out of their bodies. And during awakening, things now start shifting out as understanding starts to come. Now, not everybody's going to be able to identify past lives, but the reason I'm telling you this today is just the idea of knowing that if you're going through something very distressful that might have just come on during your awakening journey or in the last few years and is totally unfamiliar to you, doesn't make sense for you in your life, you may be clearing a past life. Lots of times, clearing past lives can be emotionally difficult. So what's going to happen is you're going to clear in ways where you are sick. Okay, so in 2019, I had like 6 past lives that I cleared. So when I think of being sick and ill, it's also emotional illness. I mean, because that's a painful process. And in addition to that, what would happen with me is I would also be physically ill. So I would find myself clearing a past life and really balled up on my bed, feeling the same feeling from the situation of that past life. And keep in mind, many of us as light workers have had severely traumatic past lives because we were trying to be the light worker in the past, using the mystical magical, you can think of it all the natural ways, it goes on and on. And our lives did not necessarily end well. Many of us are bringing in those traumatic lives now to clear. Physical clearing for me had to do with a traumatic end of a life that I had in Spain during the Inquisition. And I was working in what you might want to call the Jewish mystery schools. I had a life there then. And I've said this before and I don't know how to pronounce this. Kabbalah? I think I said it right. I don't know. Anyway, I was involved in that, in the mystical magical ways. And it didn't end well. Go read about the Inquisition. I won't tell you all about that, but needless to say, it has been a very significant life for me. And so what happened is I was clearing this life. I got sick. I one day I was walking down my hallway, I felt my joints in my shoulders just get pulled apart. And I literally thought, I was just walking down my hallway. I thought everything had dislocated. And as fast as that happened, they went back together. But then I started to feel the emotion of that life. Ended up balled up on my bed for a couple days, off and on. I also felt my hip almost dislocate. Now, okay, mind you, I have no physical issues, none. And I was having these things happen to the point where I thought my entire body was falling apart. Well, I had been tortured in that life. Cellular memory starts to clear. So a purpose behind these things happening where you may feel strange physical events happening and they come out of the blue and they last for a second or two, and then there may be some emotion attached to it, or either or. This is a result of past life clearing. That's purposeful, okay? That's why you're getting sick, okay? Sometimes an actual illness will come with that. But again, I'm talking about all the physical stuff that happens to us, including emotions and physical reactions, which I had in spades in 2019, okay? So you're going to feel these kinds of things. You may get some weird joint issues, and you may get some weird internal digestive issues. So a lot of these lives that we have had in the past as light workers, we're now bringing forward to clear out. And when we do that, we're going to feel certain things in our life throughout our body, throughout our emotions. And the thing is, we want to just lean into it. When it comes out of the blue, when you don't understand it, and it kind of freaks you out, just sit back. Realize you're going through the awakening. Always bring in your spirit team. I always try to make sure that I say, hey guys, help me with this. This is difficult what I'm going through, because I had over 6 weeks of this last year for one reason or another. And one of those reasons for having this emotional clearing, these illnesses, was clearing out past lives. Because remember, this is all about making us lighter, taking us into a higher vibration. We can't carry this stuff with us, because remember, we carry our DNA with us. DNA is the library of you, and consequently these little switches go on so that when we're in a life now, we're getting rid of some of this stuff, and it can be tough, okay? So that's another purposeful reason for being ill during the awakening. Now, the third reason that we can often get ill during the awakening is it is a sign and a message from our higher self that we are to do a thing, whatever that thing is. Oh, and is that hard to figure out? However, if you're attuned to your own journey, you're attuned to the signs and messages you're getting as you continue to move forward, you may start putting two and two together. Because this is really about being able to listen to your own self. And that's a process that we learn as we go through the awakening. Listening to your higher self. What are your inner knowings? What's the gut feeling? Because it's about a feeling. A gut feeling. What's your inspiration? What's your understanding? What is itching at you that you're kind of ignoring? All right, so I'm going to give you an example. So your higher self is going to speak to you often in ways through the physical and emotional body if you haven't listened already. So you'll kind of get started out with little pokes and prods and it's, remember, the higher self typically has a soft voice, kind of talking to you, giving you nudges on things, signs and messages, things maybe we ignore, or these annoying little things where we think, oh, I can't do that, or I don't have time for that. Well, the higher self will keep bothering you until you recognize it and do the thing. And often this manifests in illnesses, particularly in the chakras, okay? So I'm going to give you some examples. And I'm actually going through this now as well as a friend of mine. But her situation, which is similar to mine, is that she had made a kind of like a promise that she would start writing more, like writing. Now, she loves to talk, okay? She loves to get her thoughts and her inspirations and her messages out in conversation. But she's supposed to write. That's a longer conversation, but she's been supposed to write for quite some time now. She agreed to do this and said, okay, I will start to write. She's had this knowing for a long time, right? Well, suddenly she's going through this loss, full-on loss of her voice. Okay, think about that. Our chakras, because you can start identifying these things on your own. Where is your issue? Where's your physical issue? Is it your fifth chakra? What's that mean for you? Think about what that means for you, okay? It may be things like you're not speaking your truth. Your higher self has been poking you to say the thing, to speak your truth, to be your authentic self. In her case, it's, well, she, instead of speaking, is to write. She is to write, because she's actually, this is a longer story, she's got a book in the process down the road, but she's supposed to start making sure this all gets down in writing. They take her voice away. And literally, this is a longer, more interesting conversation, but I just want to give you the tip of the iceberg is that your voice will be taken away. So you start going, oh, I get it. Oh, I can't talk anymore. Oh, yeah, I said I was going to write. That's the opposite of talking. I need to start writing. So there are those things that will start to happen in different chakras. And if you're really attuned to yourself, you're paying attention, you're listening to your signs and messages. And remember, this is a learned process. Okay, don't freak out if like you're saying, I don't hear anything or know anything. This is a process. All right. Some of us are just starting in the awakening. Others are further along, and we're all on a same journey, but going through different things at different times. So I don't want you to get freaked out if you don't know what everything's telling you. I'm just telling you these things now so that you can have greater comfort in knowing there's purpose behind all these crazy little illnesses, and they will go away. All right, they will go away, and they have purpose. All right, they're clearing us out, and in this case, they're giving you a big sign and message. You need to write. In her case, you may have solar plexus stuff, digestive issues, all of that going on. Oh, is that a message about self-power? Are you standing in your truth? Are you living your best life? Are you allowing others to control you and tell you how to live your life? These are signs and messages. So start thinking about that, because remember, it's mind, body, and soul in this journey. Mind, body, and soul. And when we start connecting all the dots, and the mind, body, and soul start working together, magic happens. So this last one, the third one, is to help us understand that we're getting a sign and a message that we probably have ignored, and that we better get on it because there's a reason for us having the illness, in the case of the example I gave of the fish chakra. All right? So these are 3 purposes and reasons that we go through these illnesses to one degree or another. And I hope this brings you greater comfort, because this can be disturbing. And I'll tell you, it's been disturbing for me, because as a healthy person for, the vast majority of my life, no illnesses, no medications, nothing. Oh, to be sick for 6 weeks off and on, and then in November, I was really starting to wonder what was happening. I am able to identify a lot of these things and understand them. And even if you can't get down to the nits and grits of understanding things like past lives and all of that, you now know that there's more to the illnesses that you're having to encounter during this awakening journey. And you're all going to be on different timelines for this, okay? So again, pay attention, listen to your body, stay tuned in, meditate, because that's where a lot of information comes. Not that you're going to be going to look for it, but again, it allows you to live in the now moment and get those signs and messages more clearly. So remember, you can't really ignore your higher self. Your higher self is going to start out trying to help you in a way that is comfortable and clear to you. And then when we ignore some of the signs and messages, lots of times I was caught, I got a smackdown. Okay, I got a smackdown and I'm sick, because guess what? I didn't listen. The reason I'm sick now, I know this, is because I too have said that I was going to add to my channeling at the end of the year. This was a New Year's thing, right? I'm going to add to my channeling. I'm going to do more channels. I'm going to do different channels. I also have certain individuals I'm going to channel, historical figures, and there's purpose in that. I haven't done it. I did it once. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm supposed to channel more. I haven't done it. Why do you think my throat is the way it is? So, needless to say, there's great purpose. I'm also clearing for this retreat that I'm going on next week. I think I have mentioned that I'm going on a silent retreat, and I am clearing this out so that I feel like I am going to receive greater clarity in my intuitive gifts, as well as an upgrade. So again, as you move through this journey, you're going to start probably being able to understand why things are happening like I do. So with all of that today, the last thing I want to say too, that is kind of a signal and a sign, is some of these illnesses are going to feel different. Okay, they're not going to feel like maybe what you're used to. And as you are attuned to your body over a lifetime, you kind of understand how you react to things, like when you get a cold, what it's like, or when you get a sore throat, what's it like, and how it progresses, or the flu, right? Not with this. Fits and starts. Sometimes it comes and goes. You think you're well, then you're not. So you just got to lean into it. And hopefully this will help you not have as much angst, get a little understanding of why these things are happening to you, why we get sick during the awakening. It's all purposeful. It's all for our higher good, yet it's not always pleasant. So it's part of this journey, and I hope I have helped you today understand why these things come our way when we're going through the awakening journey. Is it any wonder that, and I think it was Dolores Cannon's book that I had read, where there was one session where they said, you know, those of us who are watching from afar are so impressed with all of you because you are all so brave who are on earth today going through the awakening. And I thought, you know what? I think back to that a lot. That is so true. So anyway, I wish you well on your journey of wellness, because the thing is, you're going to keep moving forward. You're going to get upgrades. You're going to get new gifts. You're going to have greater clarity. You're going to gain in vibration all through this miserableness of feeling sick on occasion. So I wish you wellness, and as I always do, I remind you of my services, purplerainhealing.com, where I offer spiritual awakening mentoring, where I help you forward in your awakening journey, help bring past lives through as it makes sense, help you understand what you're going through, as well as channel a bunch of information for you from your spirit team, your angels and your guides. I also offer 3 different types of channeling sessions, as well as distance energy healing. And don't forget, Celeste and I now have a new service where we channel your soul journey, and it's a really extensive channeling session for you specifically. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next video.